Hey, welcome back to Millennial Thermom. Today, I'm so excited for us to have a conversation with Cassie. She's going to bring in so much of her heart into this conversation, and there's definitely many directions this could go. And I know we talked about it, Cassie. We're really going to try to talk about play and the importance of play in motherhood and postpartum as parents, and then just get a little sneak peek into your heart and how motherhood has been for you. So, thank you so much for being here. Can you just share a little bit with the parents, the mamas on the other side, a little bit about yourself and then what that journey of learning how to play is looking like for you as a mama?
Alrighty, well, thanks, Jojo, for having me. Like you said, my name is Cassie. Um, Motherhood is that's kind of where it restarts. My
Mhm.
journey with play started a very long time ago. I feel like in growing up, my childhood, my experiences, there wasn't too much of that. There
Mhm.
wasn't too much playtime or like playing with my parents or
Mhm.
it was either with other kids, if at all, or it was just me. And
Mhm.
so now as a mom, just revisiting that, I think like early motherhood, freshly postpartum experience for me was pretty rough. Like you're navigating unfamiliar territory,
Mhm.
with a newborn that's actually mine, because I've taken
Mhm.
care of kids before and babies and like my sisters and like other people's kids. And so that experience now as a mom looking back, like that was very different. Because not to say that I've taken care of them any less than I do my own, but my daughter is mine 24/7,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can't
Give her
there's no
back.
really, yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, like just finding that balance, I feel like between being the mama and needing my mama, like
Mhm.
that was, that was difficult in the beginning. Even now, sometimes, you're like, holy crap, I'm the mom. I'm the one responsible for everything.
Mhm.
So I think as a mom, like the journey of play, it took a minute to kind of settle in. Like I was having a hard time. Like I had an unplanned C-section, and that was difficult. Like healing from that physically, but also emotionally,
Mhm.
it made me like go way back into
Mhm.
like where it all starts. What is Cassie's journey basically?
Mhm.
And so I put a lot of things into perspective. Definitely brought up a lot of things from my childhood and just now, so my daughter is now 18 months. She just turned 18 months a few
Oh,
days
one and a
ago.
half. Happy 1.5
Yeah, so
birthday.
yeah,
And
thanks.
happy
And
18
so
months postpartum to you. That's huge. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I think that's an important way to look at it, honestly, because like I said, it's been a whole, you're navigating unfamiliar territory.
Hmm.
And like it's been a whole learning curve, as you've mentioned.
Hmm.
And so learning to navigate being a parent, but also reparenting yourself, like has been a big thing for me, as I know for other mamas, like we've talked before,
Hmm.
and like those things that you don't really think about, and now you're a mom and you're like, wait a minute, like let me take it back real quick. And
Hmm.
so but yeah, that's like my journey with play restarted there because,
Yeah.
and I say restarted because like I said, the childhood stuff, like it's all healing. It's a different kind of healing, I think. And now to be a mom and like feel that I want her to have a better version of me.
Hmm.
It really again puts things into perspective and makes me want to heal and to play and to like be myself, my authentic self, even with my daughter. You
Yeah.
think about we talk about authenticity a lot, be your authentic self, and
Hmm.
I want to be myself and I don't care what people think. But when it comes to your kids, like you want to be the best, or at least I want to be the best version of myself for her so
Hmm.
that she can see that, there's power in being yourself. You don't
Yeah.
have to pretend to be anybody else. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think that kind of narrows that down for me, like just that journey of reparenting
Yeah.
and healing and
Yeah.
allowing myself to play.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's huge because I think not too many people have conversations or realize how vulnerable that transition into motherhood could be. Because I remember like talking to somebody and they said that transition to from one to two kids, she's like, it's tough. It can be tough, but it's not tougher than 0 to 1. And no one had ever told me that. I feel like most of society and people will be like, oh, you just have one? I'm like, girl, wait until you have more, right? And then I'm over here like, but oh my gosh, I've been through the roller coaster of my life with my first. You telling me that there's gonna be
There's
more
more.
intense roller coaster, right? And it's not like, okay, it might be, but that's not my experience yet. But just validating that 0 to 1 does bring it, like it opens up us, I think, spiritually too. Like we're just more attuned emotionally, spiritually, like to what's happening like in our world. I know for sure in our world, like that stuff has been weighing heavy on me because I'm like, now I'm also thinking about what are the world that we're helping create for our children, right? But then it's not just like the future, like you said, things from your past do kind of come into play. How was I mothered? How was I parented? And be like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm supposed to play, but I legit can't remember
Yeah.
playing with my
Like I don't
parent.
have those memories of,
Yeah.
playing or I don't know. It's definitely sometimes when I play with my daughter, we could be just doing literally like the smallest thing and she like laughs
Mhm.
or whatever and it
Mhm.
just brings so much joy and like literally and this has happened a lot since she was a baby.
Mhm.
I catch myself like getting choked up. Like
Mm, mhm,
I get this like it is happening right now, but like I
mhm,
get this
mhm.
like knot and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm a whole mom and
Yeah.
like we're enjoying ourselves. Like I'm playing with her and she's
Mhm,
learning new things and
mhm.
like yeah. So
Yeah.
I think play is like vital
Yeah. It's so
for
beautiful.
parents, but also for parents with their kids.
Yeah, 100%. And I know you touched on it a little bit, like that reparenting. And I think I even brought it up in my last conversation. I'm gonna bring it up again because I feel like I need a reminder at least once a month of like just because you're reparenting certain parts, let's say we know as kids now, especially because I know you have an educational background and you're growing in like your skill set around child development and everything. And I have my mental health stuff. So I know that play is how kids learn and how they communicate and how they navigate, especially those first, I don't know how many years, right? But at least for sure those first 5, I think even
Mhm.
further than that. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I know technically that play is how my kid is supposed to learn, how she's learning, but when you haven't had that experience of parents being able to play with you, it can bring up hard feelings. And I think I always try to see it that way. Like reparenting doesn't mean like we're cussing out our parents, or like holding anger or resentment towards them. It's for me, it's turned more into a compassion because I'm like, I understand now that there were barriers to a lot of our parents being able to play with us. Like there was
Right.
time constraint, energy constraint, and especially if they're like immigrants or just like low paying jobs, like you need more jobs. You need to work more to survive in this country, to be honest, if you don't make as much. So when I think about the luxury of being able to play with your kid, then you're like reparenting yourself while also providing such a beautiful blueprint for your child to be like, this is what we do. Mommy plays with you, and you don't need to
Mhm.
earn it. This is just what we do. So I
Yeah.
can see why it can be hard. And also culturally, generationally, there are a lot of
Yes, I was
things
gonna
that
say.
is millennials. I'm like, that's why I kind of love being a millennial. It's a little bit of a wild trip sometimes because I don't really
Yeah.
understand generation after me. The generation before
Mhm.
me, I can understand a little bit, but it's still
Yeah.
like, but we were finding our
It's
own grooving, in
hmm
this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And like what you said about the compassion piece, and I've had little conversations like here and there with my parents, and especially with my mom. And one thing that I've always said is, you did what you could with what you had, and that's really like, I mean, it's easy to like hold resentment and be like, well, you didn't do this with me. Why didn't you do that? How come? It's
Mhm,
easy to do that to like pick at
mhm,
what you liked or what you didn't like from anything really
mhm,
but when you really sit down with it and you think about like in my case, she did what she could with what she had and what she knew. And also you mentioned about like generational stuff, like that's what it is, it's
mhm,
generational. So a lot of times it's
mhm,
survival. Like what did what did my mom do to keep me alive? Or
Hmm.
what did my mom do that like I'm here now, right? And a lot of
Hmm.
times like it's like, well, we turned out okay and
Hmm.
things like that. But the thing is, like I mentioned earlier, like the wanting to be better, do better, not in a like putting my parents down or anything like that kind
Hmm.
of way, but just wanting better for my daughter, wanting her to have a different kind of childhood, different kind of experience growing up,
Yeah.
and shaping those, beliefs and those morals
Yeah.
for her to be able to make decisions later on in life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
That's
yeah,
very,
it's definitely compassion is a really big piece of
yeah.
it, of
Yeah.
like that reparenting.
Yeah.
Because, like I
And
said, it's easy to just dig out
yeah.
all the negative things.
Yeah, and it's easy to stay in the anger. And I actually heard recently like this beautiful kind of journey from anger to compassion. Like anger is a valid response to very many things, and anger is also more of a secondary emotion. Like there's something underneath there, right? Whether it's sadness or disappointment or grief. But if we're able to move and process through our anger, get to that sadness or whatever the root emotion, then we're more able to move into that compassion. So it's like we're
Hmm.
not stuck in this, like, it's me against the world and I hate everybody, right? It's like
Right.
oh, I'm kind of sad that maybe certain people in my life or generations weren't able to enjoy this, but how do I move in compassion, love and action? That's kind of like my way of seeing compassion. And it's like, well, I'm gonna do my best to build healthier patterns for this generation moving forward and maybe even like bringing a generation back, right? Because there, who's to say that our moms might not still play with our little babies, and then it could be healing for them too. It's like
Hmm.
heal, do
It could
what
be
you
healing.
never do.
Yeah, it could be healing some part of, their corazoncito, and
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
wouldn't know.
Exactly.
Only they know what, how they feel. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's definitely, so I think play is also generational.
Hmm.
Um, it's not only something that I think we should do with our kids, but involving like the grandparents
Hmm.
or, other family members, tias,
Hmm.
uncles, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it's important for the whole family
Yeah, and the
as a whole.
papas too. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
I know I
definitely
was
the
raised,
papas.
yeah,
Hmm.
I was raised by a single mom, and sometimes I have to and remember, and my husband reminds me too. It's like, you're not a single mom. Like, we're doing this together, but for my daughter to play with her dad, like in the beginning, it made me
Yeah,
tear up a lot because I'm like,
yeah.
it brought up stuff for me, right? So I think it's
Hmm.
like giving yourself that compassion as you're learning to play. Or I literally have a vivid memory, kind of a side note, but going to the playground with my daughter and being like, what am I supposed to do here? Just like be like, I feel like I need to go be doing something else. Like, but I literally put on a timer, and I think I had listened to a podcast or something around play, and I was like, we're just gonna walk around the playground for 15 minutes. I'm not gonna look at my phone. I'm just gonna play. And I think that was
Hmm.
one of the first times I was like, wow, that 15 minutes felt like an hour. It was like,
Yeah,
but it was like
yeah.
now I can be out on the playground for an hour and it's not that hard, but it's a curve.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, my daughter and I just recently started, so we'll do like playtime in the morning. We'll go outside and we'll like play. Like she's got some toys outside and stuff, and or we'll go for a walk and just something outside before her morning nap. And so, right now that you said about the time, the first few days, I think I subconsciously was like, what are we gonna do outside? Like she
Hmm.
didn't at that time, like we had just started, so she didn't have a lot of outside toys or we don't have like a playground or whatever. It was just we were just going outside to get some fresh air, walk
Hmm.
around, sing some songs, whatever. But I literally was like thinking about the time and I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, let's see, she naps at around this time and I was
Yeah.
just kind of like trying to time it, but
Hmm.
after like a couple days, it was just like, just let her roam. And then I realized, like, I looked at the time, like, oh dang, we've been outside for 35 minutes. Like, it
Hmm.
didn't even feel like it. It's
Yeah.
because you get caught up in that moment and just enjoying whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, looking at the birds, hearing the birds,
Yeah.
pointing out things, colors, shapes, whatever. And
Yeah.
time flies. Time flies when you're
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah, yeah. And it like even when you say that, it like time is more easily able to fly when I'm able to take out my like adult scheduling logical brain and try
Yeah,
to see the world through her eyes. And I think that's why the first time I did it, it did feel like forever because I was still in my head, like, all
yeah,
right, like when we gonna leave and whatever, right? But
yeah.
I think, yeah, learning to be like, all right, how is my child experiencing the world right now? And it's like, oh, that's the thing that she noticed. I never would have
Hmm.
noticed that. Or like that's what she wants to play, you know? So,
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why like play or anything like sensory movement, whatever is important because you learn to, as a parent, to model that joy to them,
mhm.
not just like responsibility, like,
Oh,
okay, we got to
yeah.
do this by this time. We got, you're not so rigid. And
Yeah.
I think that's for me, that's been one of the like biggest things that I've noticed that I'm allowed to experience joy, not just with my daughter, but by myself, for
Yeah.
myself, and
Mhm.
for my family. So that play is definitely like a big piece, and why I think it's
Yeah.
important to do that
Yeah.
because to be that model of like and letting them know that it's okay to play and letting them see that it's okay for mommies and daddies and to
Mhm.
have fun, to be funny,
Yeah.
to experience joy. Like
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
just so yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things for me. That's why it's
Yeah.
important.
And I think that even jumps into the second question we were talking about, like, why do you think that play? And I think we talk about play really anything that brings joy, or like
Hmm.
looseness. I'm curious for you if how you see it, but like the sensory, the art, the movement, the música. What are some ways that you've kind of tapped into play, and what are the benefits that you're starting to see or that you've been seeing?
I feel like I started at least with my daughter. I started doing like sensory bins.
Mhm.
So oops, whoa. Uh, yeah, I started doing sensory bins with her, and I think it was I started with that because it was more on like how can I help her develop? And this was like pretty early on, like she was a few months old, and I was reading all the things and like
Mhm.
trying to figure out like how can I help her development. Um, and so I started with like the soft things, the
Mhm.
crinkle things and stuff like that. And so that's where I started with her with sensory bins. Um, but then I kind of like dove into music and sounds, and I feel like the music started like when she wasn't even born yet. Like I would
Mhm.
play music for her, I would
Mhm.
read books to her, and so I think that kind of carried on.
Mhm.
But sorry, I'm like losing my voice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that carried on with the music. I carried on with the music. We dance. Like we would have like our little, I would call them little dance parties in the
Mhm.
morning,
Mhm.
throughout the day. Like if she's fussy or whatnot, like
Mhm.
we'll have little dance parties, and that's kind of what it looks like for us. The other thing too is like just going outside. Like
Mhm.
just being outside is a big like is stimulator, like
Mhm.
smelling whatever's in the air, smelling the grass in the morning, or if it's raining, like feeling the rain,
Mhm.
seeing the trees, seeing the different colors, hearing the different sounds. I think like that's a great free way
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
start like play. I think, and that's a lot of times what we do.
Yeah.
I just like to point things out for her to like if she's not feeling it, she's cranky or whatever, we're like, look and
Mhm.
and see and listen to
Mhm.
this and let's sing. And she loves music. So
Mhm.
that's been a big one for us. Like you mentioned music a
Mhm.
lot. Like La
Mhm.
Musica is her jam, literally.
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
loves to dance. She loves Selena, by the way.
Yeah.
She like
We
us.
out here. Yeah. That her legacy continues to live on through our
Yeah,
babies. But yeah,
yeah.
and it sounds like that journey of play is also tapping in, and I encourage this, tapping into like how do you play, right? Like how does mama play? And I know there
Hmm.
are certain things like with the sensory that is really good. developmentally for babies. But the cool thing about that, even though a lot of things like we sometimes we think it's just good for babies, it's also good for adults, you know? Like
Hmm.
looking out at nature and paying attention to our surroundings, touching things and just be like, ooh, what does this feel like? Because the barrier I think sometimes we have as adults is we are aware of the expectations and the pressures, and a lot of us have already been kind of wired to be productive. So it's like
Right.
everything you do, be productive. And then if that's what you saw modeled growing up, right back to the generation where it's like, Mom, why would my mom just play? You know, they'd be like, we got to
Hmm.
get money, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's bills to pay. So creating those new patterns while you're practicing them, it can be hard, but then hopefully you start to notice like, I got some joy from that. It's like that's a benefit that you can't put a price on joy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. No.
joy is going to get you through the valleys of life and through the valleys of parenting. And it will also remind our kids, like, you can always tap into something fun. You don't need to earn it. Like, I think that's one thing I like, honestly, my faith and like my mental health journeys have collided in that sense because I've been really digging deep into like, I don't really need to earn anything to be
Hmm.
honest. Like, I was born, I'm here for a reason and a purpose, but I don't have to prove it to anybody that I'm worth it or that I'm good or that I'm smart. Like, I already am, like, just by who I was created to be.
Hmm.
And then it's just like, okay, well, I just want to find alignment. Like, what is my contribution to the world, And like, all right, I have a child, I have a husband, I have family. Like, ooh, yes, there is work to be done, but there's also like need for rest and like being poured into and support and help. So it's figuring out like what did a lot of our ancestors who had to go into full on survival mode, if we know that we're still one, two generations from survival, knowing that those patterns are gonna maybe come easier to us because we saw it, but then
Yeah.
creating those new patterns. So I'm curious for you, on top of joy, what are what do you see as some of the other benefits of playing with our babies, with our toddlers, with our littles?
I think the other benefit too is there's a healing factor to it.
Mm,
Um, I mentioned earlier, like my childhood, I felt like there wasn't a lot of play involved. And so being able to tap into my inner child, my inner niña that
mm,
didn't get a chance to like do certain things, um, it's definitely healing in itself. Like
mm,
not only does it bring me joy because I can share it with my daughter, but
mm,
it heals a little part of me that's
mm,
still
mm,
yearning for some fun, some
mm,
like affection,
mm,
like affection for myself, like to be able to give myself the time to do something like that,
mm,
to just be, to
yeah.
just do,
Yeah, yeah, just
without
just
having to like to think, am I making money off of this? Am I being productive? Like, am I like I'm wasting time? Because I
mhm,
feel like growing up there, you're kind of like constantly told, whether it's through your parents, your family, society, you're constantly being told like if you're not being productive, then what are you doing? Like
mhm,
you need to be go, go, go. And
mhm,
and I can attest to that. Like I felt like I was go, go, go for a very long time. And it wasn't until now that I feel like I'm learning to slow down. And
mhm,
so that slow down and like be compassionate towards myself and allow myself to just be and be in the moment.
yeah.
Um, I think that's another thing that it's brought to me aside from joy is it's a form of healing for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's funny that you said that because I know that you actually are also in the Creative Comadres Club with my previous host, our guest speaker, Crystal, and she said
Hmm.
something very similar about creativity. It's like just creating for the process of just to create, not because there is some outcome, not because it's productive, but because it's creating. And since we are speaking about creativity, I'm curious how do you see if you see creativity as play, and like how does that come up with you and your little?
Um, so I feel like I'm just naturally just I like all things creative. I
Mm-hmm.
just like to do things with my hands. Like I'm just whatever it is that I can do that I can add some color to it or some sparkles or whatever, like I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when it comes to raising my daughter, like that creativity piece has kind of come just naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's the reparenting part that has been difficult. So like telling my or giving myself permission to do these things and not feel guilty about like just as an example, I think a lot of times as a parent you can get caught up in like, well, I don't she doesn't have the expensive toys. She doesn't have like I can't buy her this or I want to buy her, or you get caught up and you buy her all the things, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've always been the type to be like, well, she doesn't need the expensive things. You know, we can have fun without
On a
having to
budget.
break the bank, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that creativity piece has
Mm-hmm.
come out, like me being able to make things for her, or like
Mm-hmm.
the sensory bins, like me being able to be like, oh, yeah, let's get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And this, and just like enjoying that process. So, like, creatively that's how I feel that it's shown up in my parenting.
Yeah.
Um, but and then for me, like on a like healing journey, um, in a healing journey way, I feel like allowing myself to play with like my muse box that
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, you know, provides
Mm-hmm.
and like things like that, or just using like scraps of whatever, like I'm able to allow myself to play. And so that's how creativity shows up for me.
Yeah.
So providing that healing for me, but also being able to share it with my family, like that's how I see it
Yeah, no.
helping.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, yeah, creativity and leaning into that as play is definitely new to me. And honestly, I'm grateful that I met you too. I know we met earlier on in my own kind of postpartum. Well, I guess it was
Yeah.
earlier this year, right?
Yeah, like
Did I
it's
get the count?
been, I think it was last December, maybe.
Yeah, about a year.
Yeah.
Oh, happy
Yeah.
1 year. But I remember I had never heard of sensory bends. I just, maybe I did, but it didn't crossed my mind until we did an event earlier and then you were talking about your sensory bends or like how you were doing the sensory bends. I was like, I don't know why I thought that maybe like, oh, my girl is too young yet. But no, like it was something that you made so accessible and like affordable too, right? It was just like you go to a Dollar Tree, you get a few little things, you
Yeah.
you put them all together. So for anybody who and now we have a little bucket, and now our sensory play sometimes is just like we're gonna pick up the leaves outside and like sticks and pine cones or whatever
Yeah.
catches her eyes, and that's our sensory play in nature. It's
Hmm.
like it's still
Yeah.
sensory. But I'm curious, or just so if you could share a little bit with the listeners who've never heard of sensory bins, how you would explain it and like quick ways that parents can use that to play with their little. And also if you have any age recommendations too. Because yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I feel like I feel like I've been asked this question before, and it's always like, for some reason, it's always difficult for me to answer that.
Oh, really?
And I think the reason is because, um, like there's a learning curve, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
parenting is a whole learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think a lot of times you think parenting and you're like, I'm just trying to keep a baby alive, you know? And that's real, like that's
Yep.
honesty. We don't think about like all the other stuff that comes into like the development part of it. Um, and we think that everything is just gonna come naturally. And so when I think of sensory bins, I look at it as like a box, right? Like a box of tools, a box of um let me see how I'm gonna try to put it. A box of new things, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a whole new world. So
Yeah.
babies come into this world, all they know is being in the womb, right? And so they come out, and what better way to help your child figure out the world that they're now in than to give them things that feel different, things that are
Mm-hmm.
new for them to explore. And I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, like we're mentioning play is how babies learn and how babies well, just learn in general, but like learn to communicate and learn to express themselves. And so providing this like box of tools, this is
Mhm.
soft, this is hard, it just kind of broadens
Mm-hmm.
like their horizons, I guess.
Yeah, like this sounds like
On a
jingles, and this sounds like
Yeah, it's
oh.
just exposure,
Mm-hmm.
basically. It's a box of new things that provide
Mm-hmm.
exposure for your baby, and it helps too, like figure out like what they like, what they don't like, what makes them cry, what is exciting, what makes them laugh. I think that's kind of like the best way I can put it. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of and a lot of different like textures bring out different emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and they help with different things. Like you think about like gross motor, you think about language, even like
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I do a lot with my daughter is kind of like an I spy game. Like when we go on a walk, um,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of started doing it more recently because she's talking a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so now it's like, oh, she knows what a tree is. And
Mm-hmm.
so like, like just things
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I think like the I Spy game pointing out things really helps
Mm-hmm.
with language development, but also like sensory bins can help with language development too.
Yeah.
Um, them learning to put together like this is soft and this is red, or things like that. Like it
Mm-hmm.
helps them put it all together. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I kind of went on a whole little thing, but I think that's how I can describe it.
Yeah. And one
Just a
thing that,
box.
yeah, and I love it. I like that it's like it doesn't have to look a certain way even. And I think that's why the creativity and the play, it's like because of course you can like Google and I mean I've Googled and seen different sensory bins and some are like extravagant. I'm like, whoa, that's
Hmm.
cool. But sometimes like literally I bought some like Dollar Tree jingle bells and like made some apples by squeezing up some red paper and got a little pinzas, little things, and
Hmm.
she loves that. Like she'll dump it all out and pick them up or
Hmm.
put it in a little thing. And it's like it's the thing again, like society ads, capitalism will continue to force certain toys maybe into our
Hmm.
world, right? But like buy this cool toy that's super good for your kids, but it's like $100. So if you're like balling on a budget, you're like, I don't have $100. Doesn't mean you still can't play with your kid. Maybe we do
Right.
$5 Dollar Tree store and get some things that look like different textures or
Hmm.
make different sounds. And my favorite thing about the sensory bins is that it's like you can do the shared play, right? And just kind of see how they react to different things and
Hmm.
learning how to be present in that moment, I think is also a practice. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
sit here, I'm not gonna look at my phone. You know, it's only 10 minutes, whatever. And I'm just gonna be with or him, whatever, like as they
Hmm.
play. And she loves that. Sometimes it's like I'm just sitting there and I'm like, ooh, and she's having the time of her life. But
Hmm.
I think sometimes we think like we need to get the toys where they can play independently so I can go do everything else, right? And granted, there are moments when it's like, all right, girl, you're watching a little bit of screen time because mama gotta cook,
Hmm.
or whatever I gotta do. So there's moments for that, but there's also finding those moments to play with. I mean, like, let's do something together because that's the memory of us they're gonna have when they
Yeah.
in their little bodies. I am
Yeah.
curious. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it definitely helps with the bonding aspect of parenting and like parent-child relationships. I feel like sensory play or any kind of play helps bridge the gap between
Mhm.
being an adult and being a child or having a child. And like I think sometimes we have kids and we forget like we were once kids too. And
Yeah.
so it's okay to play with our now children,
Yeah.
and it helps strengthen and that bond for
Yeah.
sure, but also like helps them build trust. They
Yeah.
trust you, they feel safe with you because they're like, oh, we're just, and sometimes you don't even have
Yeah.
to say anything. Like you were saying, you're just kind of there and she's having the time of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And like, why? Because she feels safe.
Yeah.
Because you're spending quality time with her by, allowing yourself to be present and just let her enjoy herself while
Mm-hmm.
you're there.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. Like sometimes that's what that's what makes me tear up because I'm like, she's just a whole big baby now, and and I'm
Hmm.
a whole mom, and
Yep.
like we're doing this thing together, and
Hmm.
we're both growing in our own different ways. But at the
Hmm.
end of the day, like we come together and we're mama daughter and papa
Hmm.
daughter, and
Hmm.
like it's just it's beautiful,
Yeah.
honestly. Like
Yeah.
to be able to just have that time, spend that time with your kids.
Yeah. It's a beautiful way to connect too. I just had
Yeah.
like a flashback of my working day. Oh no, I'm still working. I have to like be mindful of I'm working as a mom now. In my
Hmm.
community mental health work, there is, I don't know if you've heard like play therapy, or it's
Hmm.
like, and it's like all about attachment. And especially when kids have been through like a lot of stuff, like behaviors come out, right? And I think as parents, we can get really frustrated when we see our kids acting up or acting a fool, whatever we think that they're acting, right? But a lot of times, what's at the root of child's misbehaviors is like disconnection, and how connecting with them in their language, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
which is play, is really what we're missing as adults. And I remember having the reflection that as a mom, like, I think some moms feel guilty or some parents feel guilty because they didn't feel like they immediately bonded with their child. And I'm like, that's a very valid, very normal. First of all, giving birth is a whole thing. So if you're exhausted by the time you see your baby, you might not be full of joy. You might be still
Mm.
processing like an unplanned C-section, right? So like giving yourself that grace and understanding that this is a brand new relationship also that we just have in our lives. And now, 2 years postpartum, I'm like, my relationship with my daughter is a lot stronger, right? I know her a little bit more. I can see when she's about to smack somebody because I see it in her eyes, you know. It's like I'm just a lot more aware of just like,
Hmm.
oh, that's my girl, and she gets that from me, she gets that from Papa, you know. But
Yeah.
playing is also how we build relationship. I think about like date nights with like my hubby, like playing video games. Like we have fun and we enjoy each other's company, and it's not like we're talking about just finances or whatever it might be. It's like, let's have some fun. So it's like, why
Yeah.
would we think sometimes when I step back, I'll be like, well, it's a brand new relationship and you have fun and play and connect in most other relationships. So why would it look different for our kids when that's literally the language they speak, you know? So
Yeah. There's
there's just
different.
so much. Yeah.
There's definitely different levels to play. Like you're saying, like, you and your hubby like have like video game night, date night, and that's a form of play as adults. And like being with your daughter can and playing looks different, but it's still play and it's still like on a scientific level, it still helps like release stress hormones and regulate your nervous system. And I think that's a big thing too, that like we just think, I guess I'll speak for myself, like I've been wired to as a kid to think that like play is like you're wasting time, like you need to be grinding, you need to be doing
Yeah.
being productive, and like so I think unwiring that wiring of
Hmm.
like play is a waste of time
Hmm.
can definitely help because we do need to regulate our nervous systems, and there's so many things that you can do to help regulate your nervous systems, but for
Hmm.
sure play I think is one um, that has definitely helped me
Hmm.
in my motherhood journey, and it's definitely vital for,
Yeah.
and I think everyone should go play.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of play, do you have any like, I know the sensory bins are like one way to play. What are a few other like play ideas that you think parents can try out?
um Something simple that, like I mentioned it earlier, like the I Spy games.
Oh,
Like
yes.
it depending on the age of like your child, but I think when they're more maybe like early toddler, even as babies, honestly, you can do it. I know a lot of people think like, well, they're babies, like they don't know what red, white, yellow, they don't know what colors, but it,
Mhm.
it starts there.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I Spy games, I think are like super quick and easy.
Mhm.
Like it literally you don't have to spend a dime.
Mhm.
Also dancing.
Mhm.
Dancing is another one, like just movement.
Mhm.
Um, um, Exercising. It can
Mhm.
literally just be like, so just quick story. My daughter has always been very fond of us holding her and doing squats when she was a baby. That's how she
Ah,
would like calm down. Like
oh,
her
that's
dad would
funny.
do squats with her, lunges and whatever. And now she does squats. She will hold your hands
Oh.
and she'll start now she counts. So she started
Oh.
counting and one, two, uno, dos, and it's a whole thing. But like
Yeah.
yeah, exercising, dancing, um I Spy games, sensory bins. I think all that not only is it grounding, but all of that stuff helps with development. Like it's
Mhm.
language rich.
Yeah.
Also Dollar Tree is your friend. I know it's not a dollar anymore, but there's a lot of things at Dollar Tree that you can definitely pick up. Like I actually have something here that I think I shared this with you before. I put it as a block, but it's a
Mm.
felt sandwich kit. It
Oh,
literally has like all of the
wow.
it has the fun, like
Oh,
the bread and like the
wow.
cheese and stuff,
Oh,
and
that's
it's made out of
cute.
felt. And
Yeah.
literally, this is $1.25.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it helps them like it's pretend play.
Mhm.
It's soft. It feels welcoming, I think.
Mhm.
You think of a sandwich, man, I think I had told Crystal one time
Mhm.
that I have stories about sandwiches like that remind me of my childhood. Like,
Mhm.
making a sandwich and
Yeah.
like um my mom, I always say that my mom makes the best sandwiches. I don't know
Mhm.
what it is about when she makes them, but they taste like they're awesome. And so I didn't think about it until later, but
Oh.
I was like, it's a generation thing. Like my mom
Mhm.
makes good sandwiches. I like to make sandwiches of all kinds, but now
Mhm.
I'm drawing her to make
Yeah,
sandwiches.
yeah, yeah. It's like what we
And it's a
do.
play and it's a
Yeah.
playful thing, pretend
Yeah.
play I think is really big when it comes to like developmental
Yeah.
milestones and stuff like so yeah, those
Yeah.
are like
Yeah. I
you can
appreciate
go
that.
from like
Yeah.
free 99 to like, cheap, and
Yeah.
you still have fun and you still help nurture
Mhm.
that bond with your kids and yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And it sounds like one thing I'm hearing from me is like finding those things that already are fun to you, potentially used to be fun or like bring fond memories. Take yourself to the store with a little budget. I mean, like what looks fun to
Mhm.
me and allowing like our fun to be their fun and like
Yeah.
generationally. Because I think about, I mean, like even though my mom worked a lot and was very stressed, probably, I remember her dancing around all the time, you know. So now that I
Hmm.
look back, I'm like, man, that's probably how she survived, like some música, some
Hmm.
Selena, some whoever dancing. And I do think like dancing is something that's fun for us now too. And it's funny
Right.
to see how my daughter has rhythm. She moves her little hips, and I'm just like,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
I guess you did get something from
Yeah.
me. It's
Yeah.
like maybe we have rhythm in our family and it's a help, it's like a way to cope too. It's a way to have fun. It's a way to just
Yeah.
navigate
It's
the
definitely Dancing is definitely a stress reliever, like release tension from the hips, the shoulders, your whole body. So
yeah.
I think my daughter's the same way. She loves to
Mhm.
dance, she loves to move. So I totally resonate with that.
Yeah, so
Like,
I love that. And I feel like this conversation we could probably give even expand in so many ways. But I
right.
do know that on a personal note, like I know you're part of my motherhood community. And one thing that I want to do be more intentional about is helping other creatives, other healers' voices come into like the motherhood community and just like in general. And I know we've talked about potentially partnering like on some workshop or something. So definitely stay tuned, listeners, because Cassie and I are gonna find a way to bring some play to y'all, whether it's
Hmm.
virtually or through something. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, as you know, as because I know you're a full-time working right now with your kiddo at home. So I know for me, even millennial therapy is only really possible because of like childcare and like support with my hubby to be able to work it all
Hmm.
out. So I know that you have some visions for like things in the future that just realistically speaking, I know we talked about like, all right, this season is already full for you, Cassie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for those who want to stay connected to your journey and just curious about what you have in your heart for like your future business or whatever it is that you do. Can you just share a little bit more about that, how people can reach you, and maybe some things that you're hoping to release into the world soon-ish?
Yeah, so well, I have two separate like I mentioned throughout our conversation that like I feel like I'm going through my own healing journey, and then also like I'm going through motherhood,
Mm-hmm.
and just that's a whole different journey.
Mm-hmm.
But they come together. But anyways, so I have my like mama art self-care page, coping with Cass, on Instagram, and then also with love jam, JAAM. It's with love, just another average mama, basically. And
Mm-hmm.
that page is, I've been a little I had lost access, but I just got it back. So I'm
Oh,
looking
okay.
forward to like putting stuff back on there. But basically there I like to post like just different ideas on like sensory play, music, art, things for you to do with your kiddos. So definitely I'm excited to like hop back on that one and
Mm-hmm.
like get the ball
Mm-hmm.
rolling. But yeah, those two pages, you can reach me at either of those depending on where you're at, in life right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's going through a different
Mm-hmm.
season. And so whether you're in the like full on mama season or like I'm healing season and I'm just another mama, whatever it is, like feel free to follow me on either one. And yeah, as far as like what I have in mind for future, I'm actually working on a children's book.
Ooh.
I just really started like putting my mind to it. I'm working on a
Mm-hmm.
children's book. I've always thought about writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but right now in the season that I'm in, I'm like I feel really called to write a children's book
Mm, I love that.
and somehow incorporate like the sensory stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I bring that up a lot, the sensory, and that's because it's important for me
Mm-hmm.
and I want to share that with other people, how that is like that can be um a segue to healing and a segue to like development and learning. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm big on I'm a lifelong learner. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually in school right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I could learn for days. I
Mm-hmm.
could read all the things, and if I could do that and get paid, sign
Mm-hmm.
me up. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I just want to help spread that message that like creativity and art is definitely healing, and it's definitely okay to allow yourself that time to create and to just bring it back to who you are and who you want to be. And you don't always have to perform. You don't always have to, be perfect. Perfectionism has, I always say I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely that's been a journey for me. And so now as a mom, I mentioned earlier, like I want my daughter to feel safe and to feel good about just being herself. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with like, taking some time for yourself. And you don't have to feel bad about it either. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
love
that's
that. Yeah.
kind of a message that I've been telling, not only telling myself, but wanting to spread to others that it's okay to dig deep. And even though it
Mm-hmm.
gets hard, like it's all right to spend time with yourself and sit with yourself and your feelings and
Mm-hmm.
go through that journey of processing the good things, the bad things, the things that hurt, the things that feel good. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. I think you
Yeah.
mentioned it
Yeah.
in one of your, that was your message. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay
Mm-hmm.
it's just okay to
It's
pull the
just okay.
weeds where you
Yeah.
have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And embracing that full picture of motherhood, because I know that we get presented one version, like be happy all the time and grateful. So then if we dare not be happy all the time, we're grateful, we can start feeling bad, feeling guilty, feeling shame. But it's like, no, let's bring that back up to like there is a whole array of emotions. You're human. Being a mama doesn't all of a sudden make you not human. So things
Hmm.
are gonna come up, you're gonna have emotions, but finding one way. And I know that I heard this recently too, and even reminded me of the conversation with Crystal last week. It's like you don't need to do all of the things, you don't need to play for hours if you've never done it. Like it could be just 5 minutes. Like, okay,
5 minutes.
I listened to that conversation and I'm gonna do a little I spy with my kid. Or, even if they're not really talking back to me, like that's okay. Cause honestly, I spy basically is the five senses grounding. It can be, right?
Grounding.
It could be like, what are
Hmm.
five things that I see, or I see something yellow or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
Or let's find, right? Like that's another version. Like, let's find something that's moving. Let's find something that's still. And all of that
Hmm.
are still grounding practices that I'm like, it's really just play, you know? It's just
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
and that's
like
the
you were mentioning nature, like doing sensory play in nature, and
Mhm.
like my daughter's in a phase right now where she likes to pick up rocks and leaves,
Mhm.
and it's like exploring the different textures. Oh, this one's small, this one's big, this one's shiny, this one, like it's all, I don't know, it's it's all really beautiful when
Yeah.
you really like think about it. You're like, she was really getting into that rock, or like, like it helps you too. Like you said, grounding. It definitely grounds you. It definitely helps
Mhm.
you pay attention to what's your surroundings and like
Mhm.
be present in the moment.
Yes.
Like feel it helps you feel the wind even when you're
Yeah.
not thinking about it.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I think about that all the time. I'm like, I don't really think I notice flowers as much as I did until I started doing strolls with my daughter. And when she was old enough to face forward, she just would want to touch every single flower. And I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
snap. Like, I would just run through these flowers back in the
Yeah.
day, and just, I'm here, whatever. And I didn't stop to smell the flowers. And I'm like, I know it's like
Yeah.
it feels a little cliche-ish, but it's like, stopping and smelling the flowers.
Hmm.
I guess that is
Yeah.
good for us.
Yeah. Like
So then.
just yesterday, I mean, we stopped at the park for like a few minutes. We were on our way home and she just wasn't feeling the car seat. And so there was a park. We stopped and we got off. And I think a lot of times back to the rigidity of like, your own childhood, like staying clean. Let's
Mm,
just bring that up. So my
yeah.
daughter wanted to walk in the grass and the grass was wet. It was kind of early-ish in the morning, so the grass was wet
Mm-hmm.
and it looked like they had barely cut the grass until all the little grass pieces. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like a part of me wanted her to stay on
Mm-hmm.
the little concrete path, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, just go wild, girl, like go ahead, go explore. And she found a flower and we picked it. And she goes,
Mm-hmm.
I like it. And so
Ah,
that
see,
really like
yeah.
it just warmed my heart and it just made
Yeah.
me like it also validates like where you're at in parenting when you
Mm-hmm.
have those moments of joy with your kids and during play. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, it's like it just makes you
Yeah.
just love it. At least for
Yeah.
me, it makes me love
Yeah.
parenting. Like, this is where we're
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
This is where
Yeah.
we're at, picking flowers and
Yeah.
wanting to walk on grass and naming all the things. And
Yeah.
that's
Getting a
where we're
little,
at. Like this
yeah.
is how far we've come. So,
Mm-hmm. Getting a little messy. I 100% agree. It was like making a mess, being messy definitely triggered a lot of stuff for me. I get overly like stimulated and I'm like, yeah, there's
mhm.
roots to that from my childhood for sure. But the moment you allow your child to make a mess and you're just like, she's just playing and you breathe through
Yeah,
it and you maybe get a little messy too. It's like, all right, maybe the first time it's nice to be like, all right, I was still kind of triggered, but maybe the next time you're a little less triggered. And then like the 10th time, you're just like, I'm not even bothered by
just
that anymore.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, why was I tripping? But it makes a
Hmm.
lot of sense for your body to have that response if you've never been allowed to make a mess. It's
Right.
like, I
Yeah,
wasn't allowed. You can't. And it's like, but my kid is going to be allowed to make a little mess. I'm not telling
yeah.
her
To
she's gonna
explore.
tear up the stores, but
Hmm.
she can play with her toys and toys will be everywhere. That's what happens when we play,
Yeah, and then make it a game to clean up.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
you can turn you we can literally turn anything into a game. And so I think like, okay, we made a mess, but how about we play a game of clean up or sing the
Hmm.
cleanup song or whatever. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's joy on joy on joy
yeah,
and
yeah. And we
yeah.
need that
So,
joy. It's our little gasolina. It's our fuel, I think, like I
mhm,
said from the beginning. But
for
thank you
sure.
so, so much for having this conversation with us. I hope every parent out there feels encouraged to at least tap into their inner child and be like, all right, inner child, how did you like to play? How would you have wanted to play when you were this age with your own little and just let that lead you? It doesn't have to be, again, the fanciest toy out there. It could be a Dollar Tree, $5. Well, you probably need $10 now, but with all the taxes and stuff,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
just
but
have
for
some
sure.
fun.
For sure, the follow with love with jam.
Yes.
I definitely am gonna start posting some more, just
Yeah.
accessible ways to have fun. So,
Yes. And I'm gonna put the stuff down around this video somewhere too. But I hope you all take care, cuídense, and bye bye.
bye. Thank you.